Hello there. My name is Murray. I'm with my co-host Corey, and we are the Real Guys. This is Sign Radio, and this is the Real Show with two E's. We've got a packed show for you today, and we're your number one platform on the airwaves and YouTube for pop culture, film, and television discussion. As always, I'm accompanied by my co-host Corey. How are you doing today, Corey?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. We're on Instagram at the Real Show and on Twitter at the Real Show FM, on Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. We're there. You can listen to us. We're doing pretty well. We're putting some new stuff up, so you can go and listen to that very soon. But today's a little bit of a follow up to something, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, we did this episode, God, it would have been like a couple, 2, 3 months ago now?
In May, we did it in May. It was
Yeah,
Star Wars month. Do you remember?
it was Star Wars month.
Hmm. For the entire month of May, we did a month themed on Star Wars. We did our favourite Star Wars ships, our favourite Star Wars obscure characters.
We
We
did.
reviewed Rogue One, didn't we?
Yes, Rogue One, the first 10
Um,
out of 10.
yeah, we also reviewed the new Star Wars animated TV show to come from Disney Plus and Lucasfilm and LucasArts. It is The Bad Batch. And now the series has concluded, is it not, Corey?
It has indeed. I hope so,
We
anyway.
will be reviewing the rest of the series, the entire series. We're not
Yes.
going to go episode by episode because that'd just be silly.
Yeah, that'll
But
take way too long.
yeah, we'll take way too long. It'll take 16 more weeks.
Yeah,
It'll take 15 more weeks to do. But we're going to go back to the series, have a look through our favourite moments, our favourite characters, our favourite bits, just episode by episode, and less linear than the first episode. And the first episode was just the pilot, so we're gonna advance on that. We're gonna talk about the rest of the series, all right?
yeah, sounds
Now,
good to me.
one thing that I like to sponsor on this show
Okay.
is you get a lot of differing opinions, right? We don't
Yes.
always agree on things, Corey.
We don't, as was Hoodwinked, a great example of it.
Yes, yes. Well, that's the less said about that, the better. The more that we don't agree on stuff, I feel like the better content we produce. So with this episode, you're not a Star Wars expert, are you?
I am not.
No, you don't know
I
much
I
about
have a
it.
very, very base level of Star Wars. I can tell you who like all the main characters are if you serve me a picture.
Yes.
It's about it. I can't name planets. I, I can't
No,
really do that.
you can't name planets. You can't name obscure characters. You can't name ships. You can't name any of
No,
that sort of thing. You can't
unless
name
it's like an
weapons.
X-wing or something.
Nothing you can do. You can just name the main things, and that's about it, right?
Yes, I've seen all the
You've
films,
seen
and that's my
one, two,
knowledge.
three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes,
Rogue One,
yes.
Solo if you're lucky, and that's about it.
If you're
You've
lucky,
seen the Clone Wars. I know that.
I have. I have.
Okay, I know that. And also, at the end of this, we will be giving the Bad Batch a real rating.
We will.
Now, I remember that we gave the first episode a real rating.
We
I
did.
believe so.
We did.
And we'll give the entire series a real rating as well. So look forward to that. But let's jump into it. Advancing off the Clone Wars season 7. If you've
Yeah,
watched the Clone Wars season 7 on Disney Plus, have you?
I've seen bits.
Okay, the final series of the Clone Wars was Clone Wars season 7. Obviously, Star Wars: The Clone Wars 2008 was the great Dave Filoni helmed with George Lucas at the side. The Star Wars animated series, the 3D animated series, CGI animated series that took the events between Episode 2 and Episode 3. So the Clone Wars, effectively, and much expanded them into sort of a richer medium. And now the Clone Wars is this sort of very savoured thing among Star Wars fans. And if we didn't have the Clone Wars, we probably wouldn't have had things like Rogue One, Star Wars Rebels, the Mandalorian especially. We wouldn't have
yeah,
had any of this good content. I wouldn't have had the Bad Batch either.
true.
Because when Disney bought Star Wars back in 2012, 2011, the Clone Wars was cancelled unceremoniously after season 6 that aired on Cartoon Network. And it was made for Cartoon Network. They took it off there, took it off Netflix, everything. And when they brought out Disney Plus, their own streaming service, they were like, "Oh, we can bring back the Clone Wars." So they revamped some of the old episodes. We had some sort of previs animation of these episodes, right? We had some previs animation of these episodes. Some arcs were lost to time, but some arcs survived. And one episode arc that did survive was the Bad Batch. And this series advanced on. At first, when this series was announced, when the Bad Batch series was announced, I was like, "These guys? These guys who have had what 3 episodes in the entire Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
These guys are getting the sequel show, but I feel like my concerns have been laid to rest, and they've really delivered and almost over delivered it at some points.
Okay. Interesting opinion.
Could you give me your first thoughts?
Okay, so I get yeah. So when we mentioned this in Clone Wars, I was more of a casual fan of Clone Wars. You've seen them multiple times.
Actually, yes. I in 2020 when the world shut down, I committed myself to fully rewatching the Clone Wars again for the second time round.
Yes.
I'd seen it all first when I was a young teen, but now as an adult, I'm like I'm going to push it again. I'm going to watch it all the way through again, and I did. So yes, I've seen the Clone Wars, the entire series, a total of twice.
Yes. Actually, fair. First episode, very good. I enjoyed it. I did not know who these people were until the first episode.
Yes.
Right, so I did not know the Bad Batch existed before this until we saw them. And introduction-wise, great. They come in, they save the day, they're the reinforcements, there's only 5 of them, cool, Crosshair turns evil, great, awesome.
You were dropped into it well and truly.
Exactly, and it sets up, there's your villain, and Crosshair, there's your heroes, there's Omega, who's going to come in later on. Exactly, there's all this stuff happening straight away.
Yeah. Crosshair is the one that turns against the rest of the squad, and the squad we've got Hunter. He's the Rambo. He's got the special tactics. The special.
Apparently, he's not supposed to be Rambo. He's supposed to be the guy from Predator, not Schwarzenegger.
Oh well. Yeah, Schwarzenegger. Well, they're one and the same. I always thought.
Pretty much.
Very Rambo-ish character, but we've got Hunter in there. He's got special sensors. He can track and figure things out really quickly. He's your tracker. Then we've got Wrecker. He's the heavy muscle. He's the big man. He's strong. He's not the brightest, but he's strong. He's powerful. He's got the big guns. He's got the big weaponry. Right? Then we've got Tech. He's the tech expert. He's the guy with the technology. He's the guy. He's the whiz brain. He's the smart guy of the group. And then we've got Echo. And Echo comes from the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Echo probably has the richest history out of all of them. Because Echo isn't a genetically modified clone like the rest of them. Echo is what they call a regular clone. But he's been given his modifications by the Techno Union when he was captured in season 7 of the Clone Wars. Because Echo has probably the richest history. Echo was throughout the Clone Wars series. He was in Domino Squad, which is a squad of clone troopers that all sort of was brought out the war, brought out their sort of menial position on this moon base. And they're brought to fight in the front lines with Anakin Skywalker, but then they all sort of had horrible fates. One of them was like eaten by a worm. One of them like blew up in the base. Echo was like trying to rescue some people from the Citadel arc in the Citadel arc of the Clone Wars in season 3, and blew up in a shuttle crash. And we thought, oh, Echo's dead, awful. Fives gets in the last surviving member of the squad that we know of. Fives was in a clone trooper called Fives. Fives was in a conspiracy about Order 66 and about the control chips in the clones, which actually is a big factor of the Clone Wars and a big factor of the Bad Batch as well. About these inhibitor chips. And Fives was about to discover it, and right as he was about to discover it and unveil the truth, he was unceremoniously murdered as well by the Coruscant Guard. So, but then we have Echo, who was brought back. He's survived, and now he's a member of the squad. It's got a name. Why don't I know what it's called? R2D2 has them. The little things that plug into the little sockets, and he can manipulate the computers and manipulate the systems. He's like I always thought it was a bit weird having Tech and Echo on the same, because they can't do the same job most of the time.
Pretty much, yes.
They're both kind of the tech guy, but I guess Echo is more of like the hands-on.
Yeah.
The hands-on, in the mainframe, in the computer, whereas Tech is like the hacker, I guess. Tech is the hacker, and he can use all this stuff, and Echo manipulates it. Is the best way. And you've already mentioned Crosshair. He's the sniper.
Yes.
He's the sniper, and he complies with Order 66 when it is issued by Emperor Palpatine. That first episode, man, right, we do a full real show on the first episode. I'm not going to mention it anymore, but that first episode is a masterclass. I enjoyed it so very much. It just felt like Star Wars again, and I was like, yes, I've waited too long.
It was, Yeah, it was a good start. Maybe even a too good of a start, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that. Um, because for a 16 episode series, we
Yes.
have a lot of episodes
Yes.
that are what I like to call quest episodes. The Mandalorian has it suffers from this as well.
Hmm.
Quest episodes where it's like, oh, we have to go to a place and get a thing,
Yes.
and that happens quite a bit. Like, oh, we have to go to this separatist controlled planet to get this senator. Oh, we have to go to this moon base to get this worm. Oh, we have to go to this old ship to get this to get this device. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of. We get like a lot. We get like 4 or 5 episodes of that, and that's a good quarter, third of the series.
I mean,
But
but
mhm.
but there was a lot of that. Whenever like whenever like Sid came up, that's kind of when for me it was a bit like, ooh, okay. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
Sid
okay,
is.
cool. You're
They
going to do
require
missions for me.
work
Yeah.
after they leave the clone army, and after they're forced away from Kamino, they require work and they hook up with Sid, who's this Trandoshan sort of
Yeah.
arms dealer character, who's like, oh, I can give you work, I can give you work in the galaxy. That's how she
Yes.
sounds. Um, yes, this female Trandoshan, a Sid, who gives them a work. What every time she turns up, you're like, oh, not another one of these
Yeah.
episodes.
Exactly.
Go to a place and get a thing. Go to a place and get a thing. Go to a place and
Yeah.
get a thing. But that's honestly the biggest not criticism. That's the biggest fault I can find with it. That some episodes do just end up like that. And you're like, what's the point?
I mean, it's well,
Because in
it's
Rebels, they wouldn't do that in Rebels.
mm,
Everything would have a point in Rebels. You'd think the filler episodes wouldn't mean anything, but later in the series they'd use that thing, or the things would come back that they'd saved or whatever, and there was a point to it. But in the Bad Batch, I've not seen that. Like the worm came back in that one episode with that guy who's not Vizago from Rebels. You
yeah.
know.
I mean, it's the second drawback for me. There's another one, but we'll get to
Mm,
that later on.
okay. Let's talk. We've talked about our heroes, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about our villains.
Okay.
Let's talk about Crosshair. Let's talk about
Hmm.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Let's talk about oh no, why has his name suddenly escaped me? Admiral Rampart, that's his name.
Yes.
Vice Admiral Rampart, who
I
actually
mean,
people don't know he's actually turned up in Star Wars before. I think he was in one of the novels
all right.
as a very minor character, but he's come back here,
It wouldn't surprise
and
me.
we have Admiral Rampart, who is yeah exactly. You wouldn't know that.
It's one
It's
if
either one of
again
the
like we
novels or
saw.
a comic or something.
Yeah, it's like we saw it in the first episode. That one green trooper in the first episode has a name. He's already been in something.
He does. He's called Commander Grey. He's called.
Yeah.
I think it's Captain Grey. Sorry.
And there's that one guy from the Clone Wars who appears in like one scene. He's also in the Bad Batch.
Is he? Who are you
I think
referencing?
I think so. I watched someone else's review and it explained that the guy who helps them go undercover was in like one scene in the Clone Wars, and they brought him back. The guy like the weird sideburns, like the Wolverine sort of mutton chops.
Oh right.
Apparently, he's in the Clone Wars for like one episode or something.
Probably. I don't know who you're talking about there, but you know what episode it was in?
It's the one where like they go undercover, and I think the guy's wearing like a hat, and they're kind of like trying to disguise themselves.
Oh, Cutler Quain.
Yes, I think.
Yes, yes, he was actually. He was in one episode. He was in an episode on Seleucami where Captain Rex crashes on Seleucami after a big battle, right?
Yeah,
And he has to. I love as soon as I get it, I'm on it, right?
yeah,
This is me with my Star Wars knowledge. Sometimes people are vague, but as soon as they're specific enough, I'm like, I know exactly who that is. Cutler Quain, yeah, he was a deserter from the Battle of Geonosis. And,
that's it. I'm trying to think of the word deserter.
Yeah, he was a deserter from the Battle of Geonosis, and Captain Rex like shacked up with him and helped like save his family from like an attack of commando droids.
Hmm.
So Captain Rex is like friends with him. That's why Captain Rex says to, oh, you should go back and meet this guy on Seleucami. He'll like give you work or something. He'll give you something to do. And we get a lot of that in this series. We get a lot of retreading Clone Wars steps. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here's Captain Rex again, which is
Yeah.
great. I'm never going to say no to Captain Rex. Captain Rex is one of my favourite, possibly the favourite of my Clone Wars characters. Out of the
Captain
original
Rex is
characters, like,
good.
Anakin or Obi-Wan or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Rex is fantastic. Also canon in the films. He's
Yeah. Is Rex there? Do you think it's
it's
Commander Cody?
no, Rex is confirmed canon in one of the live action films. I don't think it was meant to be him. There's a guy in a film with a massive white beard, and I think Star Wars has confirmed that's Rex.
Oh yeah, yeah. Episode in Return of the Jedi.
Yes,
There's a rebel there who they're saying is Captain Rex.
which is like,
But
okay,
yeah, because it
cool.
said that in
I don't know if
yeah.
that's your intention, but I mean, I'll take it.
Well, no, I think it was done. I think it was done completely on accident.
Yeah,
I think in Star Wars Rebels season 2, Captain Rex returns. Right, he's got this big white beard. He's dressed in
yeah,
his clone armor. And in season 3, they have him wearing like Endor getup, like camo and
yes,
stuff. And people are saying, is it meant to be that guy? Because in Legends he's called Nick Sant because he looks like Santa, right?
okay,
In Legends he's called Nick Sant, but we know that Nick Sant it does exist in canon, but it might not be that guy anymore.
yeah,
That guy might be Rex. So it's very muddled. But we can assume that Rex. It's confirmed that Rex did fight in the Battle of Endor,
yes,
and he was a commander at that point. So it's highly possible that he could have been that guy. It's also funny because that guy actually dresses up as a scout trooper, and Rex complained multiple times in Rebels how bad the stormtrooper armor is. So I think that's funny as well. But back to the Bad Batch, right?
yes.
We've got Crosshair, who's probably maybe a shoe-in for my favourite character of the series. And I really like his growth, especially in those last 2 episodes.
He's right. He's definitely up there. The what I call the final episode, which isn't the final episode, it's the second to last episode. And the whole reveal of the chip, and if he's actually has it removed, or if he doesn't have it removed, and he's saying he has, like the whole thing from the start to the end of Crosshair and him believing in the Empire, and he's not brainwashed, and he's going, no, this is what I want, this is what I believe in. I like that, and I like him as a villain. I think I also prefer him just because with like Tarkin, you kind of know who he is, and Crosshair's new for me, so I kind of like that, like new person for me to kind of go, okay, who's that person? Whereas the others,
you like sort of a newer. You don't,
yeah,
that's funny. That you take an opposite stance to many Star Wars fans, who people had this concern with Mandalorian season 2 that there was two. It was like Cameo City, and like it made it feel like the galaxy was very small.
yeah,
Like here's Ahsoka, here's Boba Fett, here's all the big characters you know and love kind of thing. And yeah, sure, that's good for a nostalgia pop, but
yes,
it's not good for a series when you're trying to ham-fist people in there who we know. And we get a bit of that in the Bad Batch as well. We get quite a fair amount of that in the Bad Batch. Like, here's Fennec Shand, remember her? Here's Cad Bane, remember him?
Yeah,
here's Todo 360, remember him? Here's Grand Moff Tarkin, remember him? Here's Cutler Quain, remember this guy? Here's like that, Here are Clone Commandos, remember these guys? Here's Scorch, remember him? There's a lot of that. You get a lot of that.
You're rattling them off.
I am, because I remember them. Here's Lama Su, remember him? Here's Tom Wee from Camino, remember them? But it's a lot of that.
Yes.
Here's Nala Se from Clone Wars season 6, remember her? It's a lot of that. But going on to the Camino and the Kaminoans, they're given a lot of time in this series, which I really appreciate. Often Star Wars will like shuffle the alien characters under the rug.
To be fair,
for preference of the more human characters, because there's a theory around that shows that have aliens in it, like Star Trek or whatever, never really focus on them. Like we never get an episode about Worf or Spock or whatever. They're just given like sort of fleeting backstories.
Yeah.
But here, the Kaminoans get a lot of time, and I'm very appreciative of that. Because we need the Kaminoan society is actually really, really interesting if you look into it. There's like hour-long videos on YouTube describing all of this. I'm not gonna give you the download. You can look at that for yourself, people. But the society of the Kaminoans and how they use this cloning technology and where it all's come from. Like Camino wasn't originally like a water planet. They had to build the cities above the water because the flooding was so. Camino was just covered in this huge flash flood that covered the entire planet, and they built their cities above the water. and they fly on those like dragon things that fly around the world. They used to fly in the air. They fly in the water now, and they fly around in the air, right? And the Kaminoan hierarchy is based on things like eye color and their sort of their intelligence and everything. It's somewhat dark as well because the Kaminoan society, like their cloning, is incredibly selective. Who gets what position, depending on your level of intelligence or level of intuition. It's all if you're a politician, if you're a scientist, if you work in the cloning, if you mop the floor in the cafeteria, that kind of stuff. That's all preset determined before birth. So it's really interesting to me. I really appreciate that. That's a side of Star Wars I enjoy. A lot of the alien sort of physiology and their societies. I really enjoy that. But yeah,
I mean,
with the Kaminoans, they're
yes.
given a decent amount of like you get to know Nala Se,
Mhm.
and who actually in season 6 was like one of the biggest villains because she tries to prohibit Fives multiple times from finding out about the inhibitor chips,
Yeah.
and she like sort of conspires with the Chancellor Palpatine and conspires with Lama Su and Count Dooku even to keep these chips under wraps from the Jedi. But now we see her and she's sort of painted in a more sympathetic light because Omega, who's another new character to this series, is sort of given to be her sort of redemption in a way.
Yeah. I mean, like, I liked the stuff on Camino in this. I really liked the stuff on
Those are
Camino.
some of my favourite sections.
I kind of wish they did more of it and just kind of like took away some of the filler stuff and just focused more on Camino. I would
Yeah,
have
me
gladly
too.
taken
Actually,
more of
I wish
Camino.
I would have loved to have seen more of Camino
Yeah.
because it's one of the most interesting parts of Star Wars. That whole part, and sure, right, Attack of the Clones isn't a good film, okay?
Uh huh.
Not really, but those sections on Camino,
Yeah.
on Geonosis, as well, but on Camino with Obi-Wan Kenobi and learning about the clones and Jango Fett. That's some of the best parts of the film, I think, to me.
Yes.
And Camino is a location we've seen in the Clone Wars, from season 3, season 6, um, season 2, the Battle of Camino. That was one of the greatest couple of episodes there. Really great arc where General Grievous attacks Camino, and we see all the bridges falling down and those big sort of octopus droids, the tri droids climbing on the side of the building, and it's really awesome stuff. They blew it out of the park for that one. I think they went over budget on some episodes in the Clone Wars season 2 for the Camino arc, so George Lucas kind of had to front the money himself, um, which proves how much he supported the series. But yeah, Clone Wars does that. Clone Wars is just that amazing.
Mm.
But yeah, the Camino stuff is some of the best that we see in the Bad Batch, and we get a lot of Clone Wars tech coming back. Obviously, V wings. I was very excited about that in the first episode.
You were very excited about the V wings.
Because we never saw V wings in Clone Wars, and I was like, where are the V wings? Because these guys were like in episode 3, and they were flying around. You get to play as them in like Battlefront 2 and stuff. They were like my favourite vehicle in Battlefront 2, nipping around as a V-wing. I'm like, where are the V-wings? I've got like a Lego set of a V-wing. I'm like, where are the V-wings? And we finally got V-wings in the series. I was like, oh, finally, finally V-wings. We get the Vena class Star Destroyers are back. Took a long way. There was like a campaign to like get them into the series because like we didn't think they would be because it got to like episode like 12 or 13 or something, and we hadn't seen a Venator class Star Destroyer. We're like, where are the Venators? Where are they? And people were dreading that it's like, oh, I hope it's not an Imperial class Star Destroyer or something like that. If they do show up, because they don't show up at that point in the war. At that point, when the Empire, when it's early Empire, they're still using Clone Wars tech, right?
Okay.
They're still using clones. They're still using V-wings. They're still using because they haven't transitioned yet. They haven't fully transitioned yet, so we've got no Imperial Star Destroyers, we've got no TIE Fighters. People were worried that just in one episode and suddenly they're all there. Like, where do they come from, Massive tangent over. Time to go back to our villains. We've got Crosshair. You said you like Crosshair, I really like Crosshair.
Yeah.
I like his armour, I like that he sort of has that black sort of Death Trooper-esque armour from Rogue One, right?
It's very good.
Sort of Shadow Trooper armour from Legends, I like that. His elite squad as well has that sort of black Phase 2 clone armor, the Shadow Troopers, and I like that a lot. I really do. But And also we have Grand Moff Tarkin as well, who I'm a Grand Moff Tarkin
You're a
fan, right?
massive fan of Tarkin. You are indeed.
Massive fan of Tarkin. I love the book by James Luceno. I've met Guy Henry, the guy that played Tarkin in Rogue One. Um, a big fan of Peter Cushing as well. Every time I watch Episode 4, which is often,
Hmm.
I always appreciate the Tarkin sections. I know all his scenes off by heart. Um, I'm a big Tarkin fan. I don't know why, but I am. I like the Imperial officers. I'm always an Imperial officer fan. I think like Tarkin, Thrawn, General Tag, all those guys. Admiral Piet. I'm a big fan of the Imperial officers, and I think I like Admiral Rampart as well. He's a good addition.
Yeah.
He's sort of like a proto Tarkin. Like we can't have Tarkin all the time, right? But we can have, because he's off doing other stuff like building the Death Star and things like that, and overseeing things. But we have Rampart as our sort of uh, Imperial officer, Imperial Admiralty enemy, and I
Hmm.
appreciate that. And Rampart's good. I like Rampart. He's that sort of like Imperial sleaze, posh Imperial sleaze, who's like, oh yes, I'm going to arrange my Star Destroyers. We're going to attack this. We're going to fight. You may fire when ready. That's
Yeah.
that's a Tarkin line. But Rampart's like that. He's like, open fire on the city. And then all the Venators go and blow. That was a cool. I love that sequence.
That was
It's
a very good
sad, but I
sequence.
love it.
It was a very
It's
good
sad,
sequence.
but I love it when you think about it, because they do a lot of that in Bad Batch. They do a lot of like, right, the Clone Wars is over. We're gonna
Yeah.
kill all the things you love about the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And they do that more than once. They go, oh, I knew it was going to happen when. Well, no, they bring stuff back because like Cad Bane comes back.
Cad Bane's back. He's a bit older, but he's back.
Yeah. Remember Cad Bane from the Clone? I freaked out because I thought he was dead.
Yeah. I mean,
Because there were unreleased Clone Wars season 7 arcs that show him
yeah.
and Boba Fett like in like a Western duel, like what Cad Bane and Hunter have,
Yeah.
and Boba Fett shoots and Cad Bane shoots at the same time, and Cad Bane's hat flies off and he falls down, and Boba Fett's helmet flies off, and you see that dent in because Boba Fett's helmet has a dent in his forehead.
Yeah.
That's how I got that dent from that door with Cad Bane, and everyone's like, "Oh, does that mean Cad Bane's dead?" That's what we all assumed, right?
Hmm.
But then you it's what was it, episode 4, episode 5, I think, episode 6.
Yeah, one of them.
Hunter and Omega get up to the platform, and all the clones that are guarding the shuttle, the enemy clone troopers, they're all dead or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get like that Western music, and then you hear Cad Bane's voice, and he's standing there in the shuttle doors, and I'm like, oh, I cheered at that. I had no idea Cad Bane was coming back. Normally I know a couple of things. Like I like to know a bit about the series. Like, right, okay, what's
Yeah.
this happening? What's going to happen here? Kind of thing. I don't like to spoil it for myself, but I just like to know what the gist is, right? But I
Yeah.
had no idea Cad Bane was coming back. That was a complete shock to me, and probably to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I knew him from. He's one of the people from Clone Wars I remember from Clone Wars. Granted,
Yeah, one
he's
of the
very
great original characters.
he's very visually striking. You kind of can't forget him.
Mm.
And yeah, I was glad he's back. I knew who he was. It's very good. I see. I don't mind it if every now and then people come back, especially with someone like Cad Bane who you don't really see much of. Like
No,
he's
we didn't
he's
see much of it.
known.
I think he only has like. Mm,
Yeah, it's like he's known. He's recognisable, but he doesn't get much screen time as like always other people do.
yeah, he was one of those great original characters, voiced by
Yeah.
Corey Burton. He's like the guy from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like a Star Wars cowboy. He's the Star
Yes.
Wars gunslinger, I guess, Cad Bane, bounty hunter. He is. I think he only has like 10 episodes in the entire Clone Wars series, the whole like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
He's not got much, but he's one of those guys that stick with you. It's the voice, it's the look, he's a Duros, red eyes, big blue head, big hat. He's that kind of character. He's got the gravelly voice, and he's got those 2 blaster pistols that sound really cool. They go like "Bwah, bwah," like that when he fires them, and they're really cool. And he's immediately a threat. I like that.
Yes.
I don't like when they bring back a villain and they turn him into a wuss. Cad Bane immediately almost kills Hunter, shoots him in the chest, bang, dead eye, dead shot, nothing personal, kid. Then snatches Omega, and that's the setup for the next couple episodes.
Yeah.
I like that. Boom, on the scene immediately a threat, and then we get his stuff with Fennec Shand, who comes back, Ming-Na Wen, back again as Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian, younger version. Did you remember her?
Kind of.
You watched
I
Mandalorian, didn't you?
I again, I've seen bits. It's what there were own characters where like I had to search up. Is this someone that I recognise, or is it like someone new? And I was like, oh, okay, is this
No.
person? That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Fennec Shand is a character from The Mandalorian, played by Ming-Na Wen. She was in season one episode, and then she got killed by um, Toro Calican, this other bounty hunter.
Yeah,
And then at the end, we see someone walk up to her at the end of the episode. We don't know who it is, but it revealed in season 2 that person was Boba Fett, and that Fennec Shand is now like a cyborg. She's been rebuilt by Boba Fett, and she like works for him now. It's like
yeah,
bodyguard, sniper, and that's the sort of dynamic they have, and it's really cool as well. And also, she's going to be in end of this year, Christmas. We're getting the Book of Boba Fett, the mini series starring Timur Morrison, Boba Fett live action, Ming-Na Wen back as Fennec Shand. Looking forward to that. But back to the Bad Batch.
yes. We keep doing that.
We have, no, yeah. Back to the Bad Batch. It's Star Wars, man. It just gets me going, It's Star Wars, man. This is my lifeblood. But we have Fennec Shand back again. We have Cad Bane. We have all these other guys. Again, like Kamino, like Lama Su, and Nala Sane, Tom Way was given a bloody bad deal. Tom Way, like from Attack of the Clones. Like, sure, she's not the most recognisable character. She's not like Obi-Wan Kenobi or whatever. She's not Darth Vader, okay? But Tom Way was in episode 2, given a decent like 10 minutes of screen time, a few lines, right? And she gets one line in the Bad Batch. They brought the original actress back. How hard is that? They tracked down the original actress from Attack of the Clones, got her back to do one line of dialogue, and then she's killed off. I felt that was somewhat symbolic in a way, like it's the death of the Clone Wars, the death of the clones that have come from these Kaminoans, and that was sad for me. I was like, oh, Tom Way, they killed off Tom Way for Attack of the Clones. I was mortified. But then we have into the later, I think it's those last 5 episodes.
Right.
That pick up those last 2-3 episodes when they head to that sort of facility on Daro. Do you remember the Clone Commando facility? And they rescue Gregor, who's in Star Wars Rebels, who's also in the Clone Wars. He survives this big explosion and saving the droid squadron. And they say, "Oh, I'll come back. I'll make my way back." And he must have done back to the Republic to train clones. But then he has to train these stormtrooper prototype, which I'm glad they did that and just automatically have stormtroopers one day. Again, it's the argument about the TIE fighters.
Yes.
You've got to have a prototype, else it's not going to be realistic to the universe.
Yeah.
These are like prototype, almost phase 3 clone troopers, prototype stormtroopers. They're humans. They're not clones. But the clone commandos who come back from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, we get clone commandos.
Yep.
From Republic Commando.
Mm-hmm.
And who turns up but Scorch, a member of Delta Squad. Do you remember he's like the black and yellow clone commando?
Yeah.
Do you remember him from that episode?
Yeah.
He's in the game Republic Commando, if you've heard of it. And he's a member of Delta Squad, which is like the most famous clone commando unit. And he's like a little mini boss for the episode, and I like that. He's running around, he's jumping over elevators and stuff, and like beats up Tech and shoots Gregor, and he's like an action character. I like him very much. I like how Scorch appeared in this episode. So that was canon Scorch, by the way.
Yeah.
Because people were like, there was an episode guide, and one of the notes said, "Oh, this clone commando was painted to resemble Scorch." So we don't know whether it was him or not. But Wikipedia, which is Wikipedia, sorry, the Star Wars Wikipedia, which is confirmed to be canon, has said that is Scorch. So
fair enough.
We know that was Scorch. But I think the best. Right, I might have to go into sort of fan theory territory, and please do stop me. But the last scene of the last episode.
Oh god, here we go.
Is Nala Se arriving on what you assume is that same mountain facility on Daro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because clone commandos are there, V-wings are there, but it's not. It's actually Wayland, and Wayland is a planet from. This has been confirmed, by the way. There was an episode guide that has an image of that mountain base, and it's confirmed to be Wayland, and it's confirmed to be Mount Tantis.
Yeah.
And Mount Tantis is like the Emperor's storehouse on Wayland for all this sort of creepy, sort of dark side cloning technology and all this sort of military experiments all happening on Mount Tantis in Wayland. It was like the Emperor's storehouse. And Wayland has been mentioned before in canon. I think it was in like a Darth Vader comic or a Darth Vader VR game or something that basically mentioned that Wayland is like the Emperor's playground for dark side experiments and cloning science and stuff like that. And it was confirmed at the end of the Bad Batch episode to be Wayland, where Nala Se was taken to, because they destroy Kamino, they blow up all the Kaminoan cities, which is very Empire, by the way. That's very Tarkin doctrine.
Yes.
You know, we've extracted all this technology, we've got all the clones out, we've moved all our forces elsewhere. Let's just blow it up. You know, just destroy it all, and then don't realise that, hey, we may have needed that. You know.
Yeah.
All we've got is this one cloning scientist, and that's it. But the person that walks out, do you remember the sort of scientist that approaches Nala Se and goes, "Oh, welcome to our facility. We want to do some work with you," right?
Mm-hmm.
They're dressed in the exact same uniform as Dr. Pershing from The Mandalorian. They've got the Kaminoan sort of patch on the sort of Kaminoan's cloning patch on their shoulder, and they're dressed in the same sort of medical uniform, and they're wearing the same sort of goggles. Like, oh, they must be affiliated with whatever Dr. Pershing was up to with a Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to me. I hope we do that in season 2. I hope we either go to Mount Tantis or we have more of what they're doing in there, because I think it's a plot to create either clone bodies for the Emperor or new cloning technology, a new clone army, something like that. That might be highly possible. So
True.
But the last episode, I'll admit, the last episode felt very sort of dull to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, what because the second to last was fantastic.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yep.
We get Crosshair. He kills his own men again, and he like confronts the Bad Batch that I've had my chip removed, and I want you to join me, join the Empire, and together we can rule the galaxy as the greatest Bad Batch ever, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Hunter's like, no, we can't do that. We've got to stay together, stick together. And then they fight all the drones, they fight all the robots together, and the theme kicks in, and Crosshair's fighting alongside them. But they don't make up, and they have to run, they have to escape the facility as Admiral Rampart orders the Star Destroyers to blow up the city. And they do the orbital bombardment, which is always a cool sequence. Thrawn does it loads in Rebels, it's always amazing. And fire all the turbo lasers down on the city and blow up all the city, and they're running, they're escaping, and I think, right, okay, they're gonna get back to the ship, and then we're gonna have the last episode, and it's gonna be a real corker. They're gonna go onto the Star Destroyer or something, and try and take out Admiral Rampart or whatever. But no, they're trapped in a room. Then they're trapped in a different room. Then they're trapped in a different room. Then they go up some pods, and that's it.
Yes.
Like, way to underwhelm me, Bad Batch. Way to give me 2-3 amazing episodes, up to the penultimate episode, which was probably the best of the series, I thought, and then sort of blow it off at the end. You ended with a whimper, Bad Batch. You didn't end with a bang.
The last episode is, for me, it didn't need to be there. It really did not need to be there.
It could have ended with the Star Destroyers destroying the Kaminoan facility. End on a cliffhanger, right?
Yep. I mean,
that would have been great. That would have been.
Yeah.
I actually would have preferred that.
To be fair, I would have preferred if I just didn't watch the last episode.
Left it there, you know.
Yeah.
Left it there. Get that cliffhanger in there. Well, what a cliffhanger ending, right? Imagine that, right? Crosshair's like, "Will you join me? Will you join the Empire?" And Hunter's like, "Oh, maybe I should." And then just as he does it, it's like Rampart's like open fire on the city, and then the city's blowing up, and you're like, "Did they make it out? Has the Empire won? You know, did they escape? Did they join the Empire? What happened? You know, what a cliffhanger to leave you on tenterhooks for the next series, right?"
Yeah.
But no, we have in the water with this robot and these pods and standing on like a platform, and Crosshair gets left behind.
Yes, which also, I was informed that Crosshair should technically drown at this point because the platform hasn't got a ship on it. So the platform would now just go down with him standing on it.
It would. That platform only activated when there was a ship on it. above it. So we've left him to die.
Yep.
The
Also,
Empire's not going to care.
Hunter never takes his headband off, not even once.
He
Which
doesn't
kind
take his
of
headband off.
annoying. Because there's times where he's undercover, doesn't take it off. Gets the chip removed, don't take it off. It's like, come on, man. It's not that important.
He needs that headband. It's the source of his power.
It's maybe there's something hidden.
Also, we get more of your. Yeah. We get more of your favourite character, the droid.
Yeah, he's not dead.
Not dead. No, I thought he was killed in the first
So did I.
episode. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're killing off Clone Wars characters like up the wazoo, which they do.
Yes.
You're killing off Clone Wars characters up the wazoo. But no, AZ comes back. AZ3 returns miraculously in Camino, and we get more AZ3 action, which is I think what we're all begging for, Corey.
That's what we all wanted. That's what we all
Yes,
wanted.
more AZ3 action. You know what? I liked it when I think he should have stayed dead. Because I was like, I don't dislike the character of this little medical droid, but I'm like, you know what? That was a good statement to go. You know what? We don't care about the Clone Wars. We're doing our own thing. But still, it still feels like the Clone Wars. But it feels like everything you love in the Clone Wars is going to die. Because that's really sad and that affects it. Because we spent the Clone Wars learning about the Jedi, learning about the clones, and in one action, in one, Order 66 execution, all the clones have been turned, and it doesn't matter who you are, they're after you.
Yes.
And that creates a stern point. When you see AZ3 shot by that Coruscant Guard guy, who I still think is Commander Davis, or Thyre, or someone like that, shoots him, and you're like, oh, what? They're just killing him off. And I'm like, yeah, that's what should happen. Because that way there's higher stakes, and anyone could go at any time.
Yeah.
Which also is the same here. Because the only character we know is safe is pretty much Tarkin.
True.
Because he's in Episode 4.
Yes.
And he's in Rebels. So we know he's safe, I think. And we know that Fennec Shan's safe. We know that Fennec Shan's safe because she's the Mandalorian. Everybody else is up for grabs, basically.
Yeah.
Because they're all original characters. Everybody else is up for grabs. Pretty much anyone who we see, who we know comes back, like Tarkin or Fennec Shand or not so much Cad Bane because we thought he was dead and now he's back.
Yes.
So I guess he can go again. I guess he can die again if he wants. And yeah, we have people back there. It's edge of your seat kind of stuff sometimes. Like, oh, is this the moment where I thought we were going to lose Wrecker or lose Echo or someone like that by the end of the series.
Yeah.
But no, they all make it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we may end up doing a longer episode on this. I think at some point because I think there's more to say. But shall we transition to our
Our ratings?
Our ratings, yes. Corey, I'll let you go first since you're the less experienced in the Star Warsian among us.
6.5. Which is possibly a bit lower than you were expecting.
It was. I was drinking there, Corey. 6.5. Really? I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but I'm not underwhelmed.
It was going to get a 7.
Okay.
And then it's going to get a 7 because I liked a lot of it, and I didn't like some of it. And I thought, okay. Well, a 7's fine. It was still good, still a decent watch. And then the last episode happened, so I was kind of like, right, no, it should have ended before that. So I knocked it down to a 6.5.
Do you think it was worth watching it?
I think the good outweighs the bad, but I do think there's definitely some episodes that aren't needed.
Right.
But overall,
you think it could be more like a 13 episode series?
Yeah. But overall, it was still decent.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay.
I was going to give it an 8.5.
Right.
But then I thought the same argument as you, and I thought, well, I didn't really like the finale.
Yeah.
And I thought it could have been a much shorter series. I thought they could have cut that episode about the Rancor out.
Yeah.
They could have cut that episode about the guy that isn't Vizago from Star Wars Rebels. The guy with the horns.
Yeah.
They'd have cut him out. The whole thing with the whole thing, we haven't even talked about this. The whole thing where they basically do Star Wars Rebels for 2 episodes.
Yes.
where they bring back Hera and Chopper, and they bring back Ryloth and Chomps and Dula and everything.
Yeah.
And the funniest Star Wars controversy that I've ever seen, which I'm just going to tell you about now, just because it's funny as ever, right? There's a Clone Wars character called Orn Free Tar, right? He's the senator for Ryloth. He's this big Twi'lek. Remember him? Do you remember him? The fat Twi'lek man.
Yeah, yeah.
He's blue.
Yes.
Do you remember him?
I know who you mean.
Yeah, him. He gets. We thought he got killed at the end of the first episode, right? At the end of the first Ryloth episode, right?
Yeah.
Because Crosshair's up there. They try to stage like an assassination because Cham Syndulla tries to stop the prisoner transport. And Admiral Rampart's like, "Oh, you've done your job. You've done your job, Senator Tar. You've done your job." And he like signals to Crosshair. Crosshair, bang, shoots Orn Free Tar in the head. He's down. He's dead. Right? But in canon, 5 years later, Orn Free Tar appears in a book about Darth Vader. So how is he dead? We don't know. The wiki said he was dead. And we're like, what? He can't have died from that because he's in this book that sets 5 years after.
Yeah.
You know, he's not his clone. He doesn't even say it. Says that is Orn Free Tar, right? And then in the episode afterwards, Admiral Rampart's making a speech to this crowd of Twi'leks, and he says, "Do not worry, citizens. Your senator is recovering, and will soon make a full return to you or whatever." Right? They go, "Oh right, okay, he's alive.
Yeah.
He survived being shot in the head by a blaster. It must not have been a high-powered blaster bolt. It's been a low-powered blaster bolt, you know, to the head, to the skull, right?" Yeah. And then the guy that does, I think, the sound design or something, the animation design or whatever for the Bad Batch, right? He's quite active on Twitter. And the first thing he posted was, "I've never had so many tweets asking me about Orn Free Tar." And if Orn Free Tar is okay, if Orn Free Tar is alive, this background character from episode 2. This background character from episode 2, who was in like 5 episodes of the Clone Wars, and comes back in the Bad Batch, and we thought he was dead, but he's not. He's alive, so he does make it to that book. Hell of a headache, though.
Yes.
But yeah, we had good characters in those couple of episodes. I'm just going to mention it very quickly. You know, Cham Syndulla, who comes back from the Clone Wars, and he's another character who comes back from the Clone Wars, actually. I forgot about those 2 episodes entirely. And then Cham Syndulla's wife was Hera's mother. And we get nods to Rebels. Obviously, Chopper is there, and the Y-wing that Chopper crashed in is there as well. Captain Hauser, who's people sort of taken him into their hearts. You know, sort of blue-painted clone commander, captain. Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Who makes that speech like, brothers, what are we doing? We saved the people of Ryloth, and now we're here to enslave them. Kind of, that. You remember that?
Hmm.
That's become a bit of a meme now. That's got a bit of a meme now, where someone's doing an action they shouldn't be, and Captain Hauser comes out and says, "Brothers, what are we doing?" But yeah, I had a good. I say I had a good time with the Bad Batch. This isn't a good time if it was bad. It was good. I feel like it was a worthwhile series and was a worthwhile sequel to the Clone Wars, right? Do I think it'll get 7 series? No. Probably not. Probably about 3 or 4, like Star Wars Rebels did, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 series is okay. Or Resistance. Resistance only got 2. But Resistance was panned, so probably why. Rebels got 4, and the 4th season was shorter. I probably think the Bad Batch will do the same. We'll have 3 series that are full, 16, 20 episodes, then get a final series that's about 10 or 13, I think, or even less. So those are our ratings for the Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. I still have to do a weekly rec.
You do.
And it'll be pretty simple. It's Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Season 7, Episode 1, entitled The Bad Batch.
There we go.
And it is the first appearance of the Bad Batch in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It is their first appearance. It's the siege of Anaxis in the Clone Wars, and we have Captain Rex, Commander Cody, uh, Mace Windu, favorite character of yours, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're fighting against Admiral Trench on an Axis, and they call in the Bad Batch, as you know, this experimental clone unit with modifications. They're in, and they have to rescue. They have to rescue Echo, and take down this stronghold on an Axis. So I think it's a good episode. It's the start of this sort of the Bad Batch arc. There's an arc of episodes. I'm just going to recommend this first one though. Also, because it's the first episode of season 7. And
Yeah.
season 7 was the season that sort of revived the Clone Wars for many people. Brought it back on Disney Plus. Animation style same as before. Casts all back. D. Bradley Baker, who voices all the clones, even voices all the Bad Batch. He's like 90% of the voices on the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
You know, he's talking to himself most of the time. Poor guy. Yeah, all D. Bradley Baker, Matt Lanter, Anakin Skywalker, you know, everything. Everyone's back. James Arnold Taylor. They're all back and doing voices again for the Clone Wars. And it's just a great episode. I think it's a great episode, great introduction to the Bad Batch. And also sort of kicks off their series. It's one of those essential... They're starting to do that now on Disney+. Plus. They're doing like the essential episode collection or something, like Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
They've got like the Ahsoka collection, where it's like loads of episodes of the Clone Wars that she's centric in. Star Wars Rebels episodes she's centric in because she appears in Rebels. Then The Mandalorian. Because a lot of people watch The Mandalorian and went, who is this Ahsoka character and why is she so important, right?
Yeah.
You know, why is everyone on Twitter losing their minds over someone called Ahsoka? No idea. Because people who don't watch Star Wars or have been around Clone Wars especially for the past few years have no idea who Ahsoka is, and The Mandalorian's such a smash hit
Yeah.
that everyone watches it, and then when they start bringing stuff like this up, they're like, who are they? Like, you know, who's Bo-Katan? Do you know who Bo-Katan is? Is that a no?
Name doesn't ring a bell.
Right, okay. Well, maybe we should do an episode on a Clone Wars season or a series or something. That might be interesting. We might be in store for that soon. But that's our weekly rec. It is Clone Wars season 7, Star Wars: The Clone Wars season 7, episode 1, The Bad Batch. So go out yourself and have 25 minutes and watch it. If you've got 25 minutes left spare in your day, watch the episode. It's a good episode on Disney Plus. So there you go. Not a sponsor, but we have just spent the past 15 minutes talking about a program that they have on their network.
Yes.
So. And to close off this episode, it's a goodbye from me, goodbye, and a goodbye from Corey.
Goodbye.